Here to discuss in K Group this week that really I hate that we can't have more time to cover it at all. I mean, it's taken me a great deal of time just to put the questions together. Sorry I was late getting it out to you because it is so rich. And so I would encourage you to be very familiar with how the sheet progresses with the questions, and maybe be sure not to spend too much time on one area so you can kind of get to the end, because the end is the key, which is that God can do amazing things through us, more than we can ever even imagine or even think and believe possible. And that's because of this final point that he gets to, which is we're just full of God. The full measure of God is within us. And so I mentioned this Sunday that this prayer progresses, and it's like steps. And Charles Spurgeon was when it said this. It was like Jacob's ladder, and each rung takes us higher. And so there's a visual. And this first one, I think, is key for so many of us, because we have to get to the point where we're willing to deal with sin in our lives. Because if we have sin that we're unwilling to deal with or confess, then we're going to be stuck in the sanctification process. Obviously, this is not perfection, but it is a willingness to confront anything that God points out, and unwilling to have just a part of us that is just a secret inner being, a secret side of us that people don't know, that hides sin, covers up just inner sloth, or just vindictive personality and vindictive thinking. Because if Christ is going to make his home in our hearts, then we have to be honest and real. And that's a continual process. But once we get here, then we can move and move to the next rung of the ladder, and the next rung of the ladder. And so I just encourage you to really spend some time on that and really talk about this right here. What are you going to do to deal with these sins that are in your lives? And the thing is, sometimes we don't even know the sins are there. And that's why we need the church. And last week we talked about the church, and next week we'll talk about it again. And he over and over again talks about the church, because our relationships and community are so important to dealing with these sins in our lives. And we don't like that, and we don't want people confronting us. And that's why it's important to build community and have close relationships, that people who we know are looking out for our best interest. And so as we get to the end of the passage, just being full of God, that's what Paul's goal is for the people. So a lot here, really, really, really great stuff. I hope you'll end it with this application, just a time together with your group, just kneeling in prayer together.